node.js package maintenance team meeting, or I should say working group meeting for September 22nd, 2020. We'll follow the agenda that was tagged in the issue, which is 409 in the repo. And before we get started, does anybody have any announcements that they'd like to share? No? Okay, let's move on then to the issues that were tagged. The first one is building create PKG 404. Who wants to take that one?
No, I created this. I forget what the action items we had to follow up on it were from last week.
Here, I can look up last week's minutes. Okay, how do I use that quickly? Pull requests.
Actually, maybe Wes, we had the call last week. If you want to, maybe we could look up that or link that specific issue from it.
Yeah, so the next steps.
There was a YouTube video there too, but I could tell you where I'm at with progress on next steps, if that, because I think that's where we had left off after that.
Right.
Yeah, and these were the next steps from the. So here, I'll just paste them in the chat. Those were the next steps we had from the minutes.
Yeah, so we had that call. We had a bunch, I think, of really good progress on that call. Our takeaways from that call. So we brought the this idea to the team via. Was that only on that call, or did we actually have another package, a normal meeting in between?
This was from the 8th, so I think this is, yeah. No, I don't think there was another meeting between now and then. Okay,
yeah. So anyway, so then I'll go into the takeaways from that call, which was to. So I had some foundation setting to do. I actually have it done. I just never pushed it because there were some broken tests. I had some tests written, and I probably just should have pushed the code before trying to fix the tests. But you know, so it's still sitting on my hard drive, but it's mostly done. And then we had like a few different, and this is where having that other issue would be helpful, but I think I don't remember which exact one it is. Technical sync, yeah, 406. There we go. Found it. 406.
You just paste that. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I did. Yep. But it looks like, did we circle back with notes here? I think, Darcy, was it in a HackMD?
I think we had. I don't know if we had a HackMD going during the call, but I just copy and pasted the actual issue in the repo itself that you sort of put together there, Wes. And this is kind of like where we had focused, I think, a lot of the attention over the call was around your diagram, around your proposal. I can try to see if we had a HackMD from that.
Okay, I don't think we did, but here, I'm posting right now the video. I just found it on YouTube. So that's the recording, and then we could, you know, if we feel value in pulling out details, but I seem to just remember at the end, it was, I'll set the foundation, and then we had a few people volunteer in the issue to get involved. And that issue is on the PKG.js org.
Yeah.
So those folks sort of raised their hands, and then it was basically, once I push that work, we can then move on.
Yeah, I think I also took or said I would take the A on creating a project board in the PKG.js, if I remember correctly. So that essentially queuing up some of the, you know, to-dos to get this to a better place. I think we can actually close the technical sync issue that I think is still open. I know it wasn't a part of this agenda, but it's linked essentially. Yeah, I think there's some follow-up to do here, Michael, from myself and probably Wes. And actually the ball has started to roll, I guess, is sort of the update.
Yeah, I captured the two next steps as Wes to push what he has, and then we'll go from there. Darcy to set up project board for issues to identify where people can get involved. Because I think I do remember that too as one of the things, if we could structure what needs to be done, people might jump in and start helping.
I'm doing that right now. So I'll do that
Okay.
on the call.
And then you're thinking which one was the one we could probably close?
406. So just
406.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
got that. Yeah, I've got that up. I was just about to hit the button.
Okay, go for it. Okay, that sounds good. We're making progress. Next one then is docs, PR landing with outstanding reviews. This is number 403.
Yeah, I forgot to take the agenda label off from the last meeting we had on this. So I actually just merged the PR since we had talked
Okay.
about it. So we can, unless anybody has anything to add, I think we can cycle on to the next one.
Okay, now I thought I'd take, I just have to go back to make sure I didn't delete the wrong issue. Because I thought I'd taken it off, but obviously not. Okay, no, great. So on to the next issue, draft text for support info blog post. That should be going out this week, I expect. I talked to Rachel and she's going to help us get that out. So well underway. Making that note here, Rachel. On to the next issue then. Suggest ignoring a vulnerability by the package maintainer. That one we also had an out-of-band meeting. I think we had a good discussion. It seemed like there was general consensus that doing something along that lines makes sense. And really now it's a matter of trying to broaden the conversation and see how we can move it forward into a concrete proposal. On that one, I think the next step is to kind of, what I was thinking would be good was to find, figure out who wants to be the champion. And then, we can, work on, we didn't quite get like Loren from SNCC due to the time, and it sounded like we should pull in some other people from NPM. So kind of once we figure out who's our champion on that one, we can start to move forward on those items as well. Any other things people remember or want to add to that?
I mean, Darcy, is there something you could speak to about what NPM might be willing to do here? Because like, it's likely that whatever we come up with is going to need those changes.
Yeah, it would be
If you already
like a
spoke to those.
security product or offering from, yeah, like some sort of service. That's kind of like where my head imagines that. So I think, yeah, the last time we talked about this, like, I think I have to go poke some folks and see what they're working on that side. Things have moved around a little bit on our team. So
Sure.
yeah, the makeup is just a little bit different of who's owning like the future of security
Right.
products, let's say. But yeah, that's where I imagine this would go, because from the initial discussions, we kind of said, it sounds like, if there were to be any kind of audit resolving database or data, like, should that not live in the same place like the CVE data lives, right? So that could be,
Right.
then we could create tooling around it to actually use that information, right? So
Right.
so yeah, any future services and that capability probably would be built by security folks and that team. So
I mean,
Yeah,
I think the hope.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, my hope would be that whatever we end up coming up with, that NPM audit as well as GitHub's security warnings and Dependabot PRs and stuff all are able to respect this new behavior.
yeah, Dependabot for sure, right? But
yeah, that's the easier one.
Yeah, so I definitely think so too. I think there's probably some collaboration that could happen there. So it's just finding like probably a product manager to own this and be on the side. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm mainly asking because doing the design work is going to be fruitless if it's not going to end up being implemented in some of these major places. That's the only reason I'm hoping to get some sort of like letter of intent kind of thing.
Sure.
From you folks.
Yeah, and I can't like say that like on my end, like I can't say that that's actually, yeah.
But I think what I heard in the meeting is nobody was saying, no, this doesn't make sense, which I think goes to what you say. Of course, you can't commit businesses to spend time on something, but it wasn't a, hey, we're not interested, we're never going to do that. I think the other thing, Jordan, for your benefit, since I do remember the time was not good for you, the sort of some of the ideas we talked about was not necessarily a single source of, a single list that was maintained somewhere, but the ability to, for the end user to say, here are the sources that I trust. And so, you might choose to trust the Express project to maintain their list. You might, trust some projects, or maybe, some businesses might want to, like, NPM could say, well, we're going to have a process where people can submit things and we'll review them and then put them on our list if we think they're credible. And that, so then people might trust that list. But the main thing was to have it be, so that the end user could choose one or more sources, and those sources together in kind of a binary yes or no type. We had some discussion around the gray, but I think that greatly complicated things. So if you could get to the point where you basically said in the list, it's like, we've looked at it, we do not believe this applies to us, and maybe a reason that says, like, because we don't call the method or whatever, some reason, common reason codes. But then you could configure one or more of those, and as long as they all say it doesn't apply, you're good.
So that sounds good to me. The only concern or question that brings up for me is discoverability, right? Like it's great to be able for me to be able to say these 700 package maintainers, I trust each one of them to maintain their own dependencies or whatever. But like, how do I know that they're even maintaining those lists in the first place? Like, how do I, like, is there a way in the interface to like present the options to me and say, do you want to trust this? Like,
so sort of one of the technical proposals there was just accept any package spec. So it would be like a specially formatted style of package. And that could be something local on your machine. That could be something a package ships inside of itself and then is self-referential. That one has a few problems because anything included in the package can't be updated. But, it would be sort of a choice based on the maintainer's goals and what they want. But as a package spec, then you could just search them on npm.com. You could distribute lists of them, and the goal, I think, for like, my organization would be that we just ship one and users don't even see it. It's sort of transparent and we manage it for them, which, still is covered in this particular proposal.
Right. And I think it is key, like you said, that organizations of whatever, type can actually manage a list for people, right? So they could say, like, Netflix could manage their own, or, an NPM could manage one for the community or whatever, right? But like that, because individually finding them all would be quite the challenge. So that one I have in mind, like, unless somebody else figures it out before I get there, to kind of try and talk to some of the people who were there and see, who would like, and if anybody wants to chime in here, like if we have somebody who wants to chime in terms of championing this to move forward, figure out who that would be, and then work towards those kind of next steps, which, we didn't record the call just so that we could have some frank discussions on some things, but I think going forward, we agreed, from now on, we've probably laid the groundwork and can have those discussions in a more public space.
One other small thing I wanted to address, Jordan, you said about all of these other places where these are being reported today and that we want to shoot for support there. I think we can make impactful progress without all of those being covered. In some ways, if NPM supported it, it would help force the hand of the other places. It would set it as a precedent, and also it would be super impactful in, most of my use cases, which I only, I and many people I look over their shoulder. It's like, oh, I got a quick audit result. Now let me go dig into the audit. Even that would like save each individual engineer a bunch of time. So to me, I think just starting with the folks that we have, good connections with and the ability to push a thing forward, like NPM, we should make sure that we don't require those other things just to or buy-in from those other orgs just to start the process. So.
No, it would be good to have a list of that, of the, you know, the places we'd like to consume this list in the end. Because just at least inviting people from those groups would make sense. But I'd agree, you don't need to have consensus among everybody, or you know, the attention from all of the groups to actually start to make useful progress with one or two of them. Okay. The next one then is PKGS org for the PKGS org. That one, I'm not sure if there's too much new to talk about this time. I know Dominikas has been helping to push some of the things forward, and it's still kind of on the list to just sort of do the last few steps. I don't know, Dominikas, do you know if you have any other things that you know we need to do?
I'm not sure what you mean by the last bullet point in your last post there, in terms of integrated into Node.js org.
Right.
I'm not sure
I mean,
if there's any specific
right now
steps
we
that
haven't, you know, like the moderation team doesn't have access, and we haven't made the TSC members, you know, the owners and so forth, like we would do once it's finally integrated. So I think that's what I had in mind by that last one.
I'm adding them to the checklist at the top. You said, what were they?
You know, the moderation team needs access.
And
we
some
need
of them
to
already have it.
We need to make all of the TSC members owners.
I think one of the things we touched on in some other issue, which I was subscribed to, but I don't remember where, possibly Node.js admin, is that there's a need for cross-organization teams. And I'm not sure if GitHub has anything even in store, planned, roadmap, or an issue, even in an issue tracker that is in public.
I haven't heard anything on that. What I thought we would do for now is just create another team which has all the TSC members in it, and add to the onboarding instructions for TSC members that here's another list you need to add somebody to. I couldn't think of anything better than that.
And we could probably make a tool to sync, like to treat a certain team in one org as a source of truth and up to, but like, I don't think that tool exists.
I started that. It's in the
I think Wes
report.
mentioned that in that other discussion.
Yeah, I did, because this
Awesome.
was the triage team. I at first I was, well, not at first, I still have this problem because I never finished the tool. It's just going in and adding everybody to the 3 express orgs was getting really annoying, and it'd be really easy to do with a GitHub action that just has access to all 3 orgs, because then you just, you know, you can change all the policies. Anyway, it's in, I can't remember what it's called, membership syncer or something. It's in PKGJS org.
And does it work, or is it?
No, that's what I'm saying. I started the
right.
action. I kind of got things scaffolded. I think I pulled the list. It was like, yeah, there wasn't much, but you know, it would be easy to, I think, pick up where I left off, and if somebody wanted to sync on it and take it over or whatever, I'd be very happy.
Okay, I'm not sure we should block on that though. So, is
that the membership updater thing?
Oh, is that the name? Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
It also generated the lists. I think that was the other thing I worked on. Maybe, you know what I mean? The lists like you have in a README.
If you could create an issue, maybe outlining some sort of a plan or roadmap, and I'm sure maybe we can find somebody to take it over.
Awesome.
So I think, okay, so I'm just looking at the, like, is there any, I think from the TSC members, at least to start though, it might, you know, instead of blocking on getting the tool ready, we could just create a team called node TSC, and we could add that as, I think that would, if we created that team, we could then give that team access as owners. Is that?
Yeah, sure.
So I'll try and do that between now and our next meeting. And then 2FA publishing, I think you were, Wes, you were pushing on that one, right?
I have before, but Dom sort of led a lot of the initial investigation. Also, there might be some developing things here. So I don't know if there's been progress, but we should also not spend a ton of time probably on it just yet until we, I think, see what offerings might come from some of the folks maybe at GitHub or something.
Okay, so that
Yeah,
one
I
I don't
think-
think is a prereq then to kind of say we're finished off, right?
Yeah, I think the only two things that we must do is, I think I already did that, is require 2FA in the GitHub org, and then require 2FA in the npm.js org.
Right, which I
And-
did not do specifically because one person would be disabled. I will reach out privately to somebody who can't, I'll maybe reach out to the person directly right after the meeting and say, you need to turn this on or you'll get booted. And then I'll do it later today, hopefully.
Sounds good.
Do we have everybody invited to the organization?
Also, no. So we need to add this is actually, I should add this to the checklist as well. What's you said there was another discussion on the node repo about the node.js scope. And there's a foundation account, I think, that should be added. Is that correct?
There is a Node.js Foundation account, which, yeah, it's one which it's basically a backup. So the build working group has access to that account so that if, say, all the people who've published, basically if all the current collaborators disappeared, somebody could log in as that user and add somebody new.
And I guess we also need to do the same for the packages in the public scope, unless it's just enough to do the Node.js Foundation. I'm not sure which persons do we need to add.
I
because
think
we have a couple, namely Wibby, because it's just easier to type for things that you're executing.
Yeah, it should be on those as well. Like any place where we could run into that problem.
I would like to propose that we also publish under the scope. And I know, I was actually hoping we would just consolidate under the scope because there is a bunch of benefits of people using these tools, knowing who to come to just from the NPM. But if we don't do that, I would like to propose we dual publish, again, for the same reason, because then we can migrate people easily.
Yeah, so I very much agree about that. If we're talking about libraries. However, if you're talking about executables, it's just a hassle to type npx at something / and then also npx itself is very fiddly when there's scopes involved. I don't remember the issues precisely that I have, but that's basically the primary reason I put that, and then the other stuff that are meant to be used as CLIs, that I put them in a public scope, is that npx is not always cooperating.
And there's Darcy going, maybe there's a bug there we should go fix. But I agree, that's actually a really great reason not to, but I still think dual publishing would be reasonable, because then, maybe that those issues go away in the future, or there's some better way for us to think about that.
Would it make sense to just publish something like pkg.js/Wibby and use Wibby as a dependency and just expose that as a bin and just re-export it? Do you think that's enough, or do you think it needs to be a clone?
I'm definitely not opposed to that. I've never tried that, so I don't know. It would mean that you can't deep require, which is maybe fine. You can't, right? Like there's a few maybe edge case scenarios that might be different, but again, I don't think that should be a blocker. I've just never done it.
Okay, can you add that to the checklist as well? Then just just so that we don't forget it.
Sure. Well, so and then we brought up that some of these things maybe shouldn't be blockers, and I feel like they're being treated as blockers. So should we?
Some of those I would just create another issue in the, well, do we have a org or in the package maintenance repo to say we should do this, right? Versus tying them to this issue, which is really, we should basically say, what are the last few things we have to do to say we've created the org we needed, it's integrated, we're done.
Yeah, I think those we can just open an issue on Wibby and just that's fine, because again, I think the only real thing is like access, right, and settings for this particular issue, and we're very close on that. I mean, I think I can knock a bunch of those out soon, but and then we can just do the Wibby conversation or whichever other ones, you know, we think we have strong value in being published on the public scope, you know, moving forward. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. I'll open that issue.
I'm also hogging a couple of organizations in NPM, @Wibby and @WibbyTest. Same as on GitHub. We have Wibby test. If just literally, I mean, you have to have a separate org for tests. I might need yet one more for the forks. And then @Wibby just in case. So we should probably add folks in there as well, right?
In terms of the team to put the TSC members in, it's just called TSC in the node.js org. In the node.js org. Should I call this node-TSC in the PKGS org to make it more obvious, or?
Probably. Or just put a description. I think you can do descriptions for teams, right?
Yeah, I can put the, I can say members of the node.js TSC.
Yeah, so then you can just leave it TSC.
Okay. Okay, anything more to discuss on that one? I'll start by adding the TSC members, and then after that we can look at figuring out the moderation side of things. And what else was on that? Was there anything? What else was on that list? So Wes is going to handle the 2FA. Okay, and adding the Node.js Foundation account on NPM. So I guess that's, I don't know if Dominicus or Wes, you can take a look at that. But
yeah, I just need to know exactly what the username is, because I'm not sure I'm definitely not on the Node.js one, so I can't even go look around. So I'm looking at their account name.
NPM. I'm just finding that right now. Here, I'm pasting it into, actually here, I'll paste it into the chat. It's not the best name anymore, but it's just a backup, so we never changed it. Okay, let's move on then. Let me find the minutes. I'm trying to get back there. Sorry, I may have closed. Here we go, back to the minutes. Okay.
Just to round that off, I added the Node.js Foundation. I think whoever's on there will have to accept it, and then I'll bump them up from member to owner.
Okay. I will try and do that. Okay, and we'll. Okay, and then the next steps on support levels for package JSON, I think that we've already covered under the blog post. Once that's out, we can come back to that. And that's the end of the agenda. Is there anything else that we think we need to talk about this week? Nope. Let me promote Troy. Sorry.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry about that. Anything anybody wants to talk about before we close out for today?
I think Roy might be late because he just shipped his first node release. And then also, I think
Hey,
as an announcement, again, we're shipping beta releases of the NPM 7 every Tuesday. So that's, I think, also what he was probably working on just now. So feel free to keep giving us feedback on that. And yeah, we're working away each week. So new releases on every Tuesday so far. So
Thank you, Darcy.
yep, great to hear that. And thanks for doing the node release. Okay, talk to everybody later.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Good one.
Bye-bye.